की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। यमुना माई की जय। गंगा माई की जय। भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Hare Bol. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Radhanath Swami Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Saraswati Devi Gaurangi Shunyavadi Pachati Deshi ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Canto 2, the Cosmic Manifestation, and text 32. यद्यते संगता भावा भूतेन्द्रिया मनोगुणः यदा यतन्ना निर्माणे नाशे कुर्ब्रह्मा वित्तमा। यदते संगता भावा भूतेन्द्रिय मनोगुणः यदा यतना निर्माणे नाशे कुर्ब्रह्मा वित्तमा। यदा ते संगता भावा भूतेन्द्रिया मनोगुणः यदा यतना निर्माणे नाशे कुर्ब्रह्मा वित्तमा। Anyone would like to repeat?
यदा यते संगत भावा भुक्तेन्द्रिय मनोगुणा यदा यतात्म निर्माणे न शेखर ब्रह्म वित्तमा। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
यदा ते असंगत भावा भूतेन्द्रिय मनोगुणा यदि अतना निर्माणे नासा कुर्ब्रह्म वित्तमा। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
यदैत संगात भावा भूतेन्द्रिया मनोगुणा यदा यतन निर्माणे न शेकुर्ब्रह्म वित्तमा।
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? Okay. Synonyms. Yada, as, long as. Ete, all these. Asangataha, without being assembled. Bhavaha, remained so situated. Bhuta, elements. Indriya, senses. Manaha, mind. Gunaha, modes of nature. Yada, so long. Ayatana, the body. Nirmane, in being formed. Na shekur, was not possible. Brahma with Tama, O Narada, the best knower of transcendental knowledge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Narada, best of the transcendentalists, the forms of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled. Purport. The different types of bodily construction of the living entities are exactly like different types of motor cars manufactured by assembling the allied motor parts. When the car is ready, the driver sits in the car and moves it as he desires. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 18.61. The living entity is as if seated on the machine of the body, and the car of the body is moving by the control of material nature, just as the railway trains are moving under the direction of the controller. The living entities, however, are not the bodies. They are separate from the cars of the bodies. But the less intelligent material scientist cannot understand the process of assembling the parts of the body, namely the senses, the mind, and the qualities of the material moods. Every living entity is a spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Being. And when the kindness of the Lord, for the Father is kind to his Son, the individual living beings are given a little freedom to act according to their will to lord it over the material nature. Just as a father gives some playthings to the crying child to satisfy him, the whole material creation is made possible by the will of the Lord to allow the bewildered living entities to lord it over things as they desire. Although under the control of the agent of Lord, the living entities are exactly like small children playing the material field under the control of the maidservant of the Lord nature. They accept the Maya or the maidservant as all in all, and thus wrongly conceive the supreme truth to be feminine, goddess Durga, etc. The foolish, childlike materialists cannot reach beyond the conception of the Lord. Beyond the conception of the maidservant, material nature. But the intelligent, grown-up sons of the Lord know well that all the acts of material nature are controlled by the Lord, just as a maidservant is under the control of the master, the father of the undeveloped children. The parts of the body, such as the senses, are the creation of the Mahatattva. And when they are assembled by the will of the Lord, the material body comes into existence, and the living entity is allowed to use it for further activities. This is explained as follows. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning, and seeking blessings from all the Vaishnavas who are present on this call. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva patita nama pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Seeking the blessings that right words may come according to the Shastras, so that Lord Shri Krishna may get satisfied and I can serve devotees with minimum of the capacities I have in me. let's start today's topic. So we have been reading in this particular chapter, The Cause of All Causes, about how the creation has been take place, all the elements of material nature comes into existence. So there is a conversation between Narada and Brahma. So Narada, who is one of the Mahajans, and also Brahma is also one of the Mahajans. So when we hear the discussion between the two great transcendentalist is a person who knows about the knowledge of transcendence, who is capable to understand the knowledge of Supreme. That's why Brahma, in this very particular verse, is mentioning, and in other verses also, to Narada, that Narada is a transcendentalist or a person who can understand the knowledge of Supreme. So Narada asked how the creation took place, because Narad Muni knows that Brahma is not the original creator. He is the secondary creator. He is not the primary one. And Brahmaji also accepted this fact in the beginning of this chapter, that he is also creating on behalf of the Lord, or he is the secondary creator. So the thing here, I was thinking when I was reflecting on this verse, the thing here that Brahma, even though he is the creator, he is not taking the credit for it, because he knows that he is not the original creator. So what to talk about all the jivas who are in this material world and thinking that they are the doers of their own work. How Brahma is very nicely explaining to Narada has been given in this chapter. And the same questions were asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the previous chapter from Shukdev Goswami. And how Shukdev Goswami is also taking the conversation which held between Narada and Brahma. Why? Because he is going to use the same conversation without adding anything, which Brahma received, the knowledge which Brahmaji received from Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then from Brahma, it has been given to Narada in the exact way, and from Narada to his different disciples, in which Vyasadeva was one of them. So we can see that how this knowledge is flowing in the parampara system, or in the disciplic succession, in the chain of disciplic succession. So I'm sure up till now we have understood that how there are elements of nature, how the Prakriti which was in unmanifest state has been cleansed by Karana Dakshaya Vishnu, and how there is agitation in the Prakriti and all the modes of nature get agitated. Actually, I made a small small picture, and I'm not going to go into detail in that diagram, because I'm sure everybody has explained it, because that was the subject matter in previous shlokas. But just to give a small recap or synopsis of what has happened, and then we can come into this verse. Okay. I can screen share, right? Yes, I can do that. Okay. Is the chart visible? Oh.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Okay, so up till now, it has been discussed that how the Mula Prakriti, it was an unmanifest state, and then with the glance of the Karuna Dakshai Vishnu, how all the gunas, Sattva, Raj, and Tama, which were in equilibrium state, got agitated. And then with the influence of Kala Shakti or the time, how this Prakriti converted into Mahatattva. And from Mahatattva, Ahankara or false ego get generated. And then how false ego under the under the different modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, generate senses, organs of action, sense organs, mind, intelligence. The controlling deities also is mentioned, 5 Mahabhutas, and subtle senses and the objects of senses. So all these together constitute 24 elements of material nature. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, Arjuna asked the question from Lord Sri Krishna, that first question is, he wants to know about Kshetra, he wants to know about Kshetragna, he wants to know about Purusha, and he wants to know about the knowledge, the object of knowledge. So Kshetra is the field of activities, or we can say it is a gross body, which has been given to the Purusha. This Purusha, the spirit soul, which has been given to the Purusha to work. An example has been given by Srila Prabhupada in this verse, in the verse which we are discussing today. There are parts of motor car, and then we assemble those parts of motor car, but still that motor car cannot work. Why? Because we need a driver to drive that motor car. So that motor car is a kshetra, or the field of activities. And the Purusha, who is the enjoyer or who is the driver, is the soul or the spirit soul who is going to drive the car. So similarly, in this material nature, how Prakriti forms, Prakriti takes place, it's because of the energy of the Lord, the Kala Shakti of the Lord, which glances and it impregnates the Prakriti, which is a matter, with the jivas, along with the karmas of jivas. By jivas, I mean living entities. And along with the living entities, the karmas also go along with that impregnate, when Karanodakshai Vishnu impregnates the Prakriti. So there is collective karma also, and there is individual karma also. I mean to say that collective karma, that we are all in this earth planet, where the element earth is in predominance. And there are other planets in which other elements are in predominance. So, but the ingredients, all these 24 elements remains the same. But on Earth planet, we have Earth ingredient in predominance. So, what happens? There is a collective karma, but there is individual karma also, that I got birth from the womb of certain mother, and some other person got birth from the womb of some other person. So it's all karma. And how we land up here today and talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, it's also a karma, and also it is the free will also, which I'm going to talk about later. But I'm sure that this chart is clear, so that's why I'm not going to explain in detail, because I know that this chart summarizes all the shlokas which we discussed previously in this chapter. And basically, that's what it is saying. So, in total, there will be 25 tattvas, which is the cause of all this cosmic manifestation. And the main super soul is the person who is going to control this material nature, and Purusha, the spirit soul, he is above. And Sri Krishna, if we read chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, is very, very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna also, that what is the difference between spirit soul and the spirit soul and the super soul. Let me just close this chart because, yeah, okay. So, yeah. So it is, yeah. So Lord Sri Krishna, in giving an example that how a person or a Purusha, and now in this particular verse, what they are discussing that Brahmaji is saying that with the help of all these elements, this gross body forms. And this gross body is not just for human beings, but for all the living entities or creature in this world. So there are varieties of life species, 8.4 billion species. So varieties, vegetation, birds, beasts, worms, reptiles, trees, and then there are 400,000 forms of species of human beings. And all the bodies are made up in the similar fashion. They are different in sizes and shapes, but what we have in this body, all those 24 elements which we discussed. Usually we say Panch Mahabhuta, or the main earth, water, fire, ether. These main 5 things are there involved. But in actuality, all these sense objects are there, and the subtle objects, mind, intelligence, false ego. We learned how from false ego things are generating. And the false ego is the main karana, or the main reason why the living entity get illusioned about its identity. So there are so many species and the forms. And how I am getting this human form of body, and some other living entity is getting a body of a worm. So it's like that. There are different kinds of dresses available in a store, right? So if I'm paying high price, I'm going to get very nice, expensive, good quality dress. And if somebody else is paying very less money, he's going to get a body which is not very good in quality, or it's not very good in, not good in quality, and is very different from my dress because my dress is expensive. So similarly, it depends on the karma. It depends on the karma. And what is karma? Action and reaction principle. So if I'm doing very nice karma, I'm going to get nice body. If I'm going to do bad karmas, and due to reaction of that, I am going to get a body which is lower than the human species. So, but what is the difference between human species and other bodies? I'm thinking, okay, even if I get a body of dog, so what is the problem? The problem is we all are doing the same thing. Ar nidra bhaya maithunam cha. All the bodies are doing eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But human form of body is the body in which the consciousness has been fully manifested, has been fully manifested. So the chart I showed, in that I was showing Purusha, or the soul. That's the spirit soul, not the super soul. Although many times we use the same Purusha word for super soul also. But in that chart, I was using for the spirit soul. So the difference is that the human body, when we get the human body, then our consciousness is fully manifested, and we can understand the reason behind this prakriti and behind this uh, spirit soul, and who is the actual enjoyer and why all these things are happening. And this capability, um, all the inferior species does not have. Srila Prabhupada was saying in one of his lecture that even some of the creatures doesn't have proper mind to discriminate in the lower species. But unfortunately, the human form of body, after getting this human form of body, we are not able to discriminate what is right, what is good, and what is not good for us. So that's why our acharyas, our acharyas have written books and have given us the process so that we can understand what is this. So this information of Prakriti is known Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy, and Kapil Dev, he is the one who explained this Sankhya philosophy in detail. So the point behind understanding this Sankhya philosophy, or whatever we are reading in this chapter, is not that we can go to a person who is not very knowledgeable, not knowledgeable, I'm sorry, who is not reading books, and then we will go there and then tell him that, okay, I know that how the creation takes into place. No. The purpose is that we understand that these are the elements of Prakriti and how we are different from that. But unfortunately, we start relating ourselves, the spirit soul. When I'm saying we, that my thing is we, means spirit soul. Spirit soul start connecting with the material nature. Spirit soul start understanding that this material body is I, me. I am Madhavi Gaurangi Devi Dasi. So I forget my identity, the real identity. And in this shloka, it is really in this verse mentioned that, but the spirit soul is not this gross body. Although we have been given this gross body by our own karma, and this is our field of activities where we want to work. But why this body, especially human body, and from human body especially, we are here and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, and try to follow the process which has been given to us by our acharyas or our Srila Prabhupada. So we are very, very fortunate that even after getting this human body, if we do not understand the difference between the spirit soul, super soul, and prakriti, or material nature, three modes of material nature. So that's why Narada Muni is asking all these questions from Brahmaji, so that no other mundane scholar or the or scientist, as we know that there is a very famous Big Bang theory, comes and just produce or manufacture any kind of stuff and bewildered already illusion conditioned souls, right? They agree to this point that there was a matter, and then that matter blasted, and all these planets came into picture. They agreed to this. But how it happened that Kala Shakti of Lord, that spiritual potency of the Lord, which is working behind all these things, we call it internal potency, external potency, marginal potency of the Lord, although Lord has so many potencies, but three in main, which is described in Shastras so many times. So they don't believe on that. They just come up that it happened by chance. So the cosmic manifestation is not happen by accident or by chance. So it never happened by chance. And they say that matter is the reason for the consciousness, which is a very weird and abstract argument, because how can matter become conscious without the spirit soul or without the energy of the Lord? In fact, the spirit soul is also the expansion, a differentiated portion of the Lord. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying, Mameva Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. These spirit souls are nothing but they are my part and parcels. They are not different, right? So, and so many times, purports and in classes, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned it's just like a finger. If it is, if my finger is broken, then it's of no use. So all the senses together feeding the stomach. So similarly, all these spirit soul are just working for the pleasure of the Lord. Lord is saying he is the ultimate enjoyer. Purusha is the enjoyer of the Prakriti, but he enjoy and he thinks that he is an enjoyer. Purusha, he thinks that he is the enjoyer, or the driver of the motor car thinks that he is the driver, but in actuality, he is not. Even the spirit soul, even we are controlled by the gunas and karmas. So gunas, these three material modes of nature, which we discussed, which are which generated from false ego, these three modes of material nature. And guna is rope. In Sanskrit, we know that the meaning guna is rope also. It bind the spirit soul, and then this it works in the conditioned body. We work. It's just like a puppeteer, right? A puppeteer is making the puppets dance with the strings. And then when there is a good performance, people in the audience, they clap. What a good performance. And if puppets are given the intelligence to think, they might think, wow, it's me. Because of me, they are giving me round of applause. I am so nice. I'm so good. But in actuality, what is happening? The puppeteer is controlling and they're making the puppets dance. But the puppet, because of his limited intelligence, is thinking, it's me. So similarly, material nature, modes of material nature, they are making us dance, and our karma, which is action and reaction principle. I'm going to come on to this. Let me first take the gunas. So, and then living entity thinks, I am the doer. Prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasa. So, ahamkar vimudha atma kartaman iti manyate. So, all the activities are done by the modes of material nature. But this spirit soul thinks that I am the doer. I am actually doing everything. And because of this thinking, he generates karma. He generates karma, the action and reaction principles. Although there is a little freedom which is given to the living entity to think and to do his karma, a very little freedom, as mentioned in this purport also. Very little freedom he has, but he misuses freedom because he wants to lord it over the nature. And that's the reason why this material nature has been formed. It's like when a child wants to play, then parents, what they do, make a small toy room or make a small space for them to play, where they pretend that they can cook themselves in the kitchen, and they will sometimes pretend that they are doctor or any profession. They just pretend. So similarly, this is a play area made by Lord with his energies, as we read. What are all those? Because this chapter is very technical, and it is very nice to understand and study how these modes are working, how this prakriti or the material nature comes into the picture. So that's why I made the chart, but I thought that maybe everybody must have covered it. So not to go on that, because the topic from starting from this verse 32, it is differentiating how we are different from the material nature. First, Brahmaji explained how all these material elements are coming into picture, how from the prakriti, and this the chart which I showed, and then how the living entity, Purusha, he comes and takes the different bodies, and then this material nature becomes active with the living entities. Brahma made, although without the intervention of the energies of the Lord, nothing can happen. So Lord Karnodakshay Vishnu, he has already made the elements and all these things. But Brahma, he just assembled things, and just like a interior designer, he fills in everything. He made the planets, and he made everything. He fills in everywhere it is required. But in actuality, without the expansion of the energy of Lord, nothing can happen. Nobody can do anything. Even this marginal energy of the Lord, which is spirit soul, which is us, we are working. We are conscious beings. We are working because we are the spiritual spark of the Lord. And what is the definition of spiritual spark, which is given in the Shastras? Tip of the hair cutting into 10,000 parts. 10,000 part is that little spiritual spark. And with that little spiritual spark, the body is working. If this driver just comes out of this body will become a dead body, right? This body will not work. But still, foolish or unintelligent people, which Prabhupada is mentioning in here, they say that they assume that matter is the only thing, and matter is the cause of production. They don't believe on energy. So if the matter is a cause of production, so if we unite two matters, then will that create the third matter? For example, we use harmonium. So let's just take the example of a harmonium. If I'm going to combine two harmoniums, will it's going to produce a third harmonium? No, it's not. If I'm going to put two flutes together, will there be a production of third flute? No. Why? Because there is the energy, the spark is missing. The spark, that consciousness is missing. That's the main reason. And now sometimes people, come with the how the test tube babies are working and that. I'm not going to go into that, but there is a very logical answers for that too, that how it is happening. But now we are devotees, so let's just stick here with what we are discussing of Srimad Bhagavatam topic. So how this gunas, with the help of gunas, the three gunas, modes of material nature, this we are just dancing and we think that it's because of us. Now the karmas also intervene with our, as I said, that how karmas play a role like purchasing our material, gross material body for the next birth. We are devotees, and because of the mercy of the Lord, we may just get one other body and then go back if Krishna allows, and that's what we believe. But in general, what happened? This material body, when we give up this material body, so there is another body which is already formed due to our own action and reaction principle or karma, according to karma principle. It has been already waiting for us. Even in our current birth, in this current lifetime, we see how the bodies are changing. When we are baby, the body is like that, then like that, and then still by looking at the changes in the present body, scientists don't believe that we are going to get another body after the after the loss of this body. And there is a Charvak principle, which is an atheistic principle, which also believe on that. When the body is destroyed, everything is destroyed, so just enjoy. But we can see that how in the present body, the same spirit soul is changing so many body. And how after the loss of this body, this spirit soul, along with the subtle elements, is going to go into another gross body. So a person who will understand in this opportunity of human life, the reality, the truth, that Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, understand that the activities of the Lord is transcendental, who we are, and what are these material elements, what is this Prakriti. If we understand this, then we will reach on to the spiritual platform, even in this material body. Yes. And Srila Prabhupada has mentioned so many times that in spiritual platform, you work for Krishna. You just have to dovetail your things to understand that what are these elements, but I am not these elements. I am different from these elements. I am spirit soul. I am the part of Krishna. I am the part of that supreme personality of Godhead. And he, super soul, is the enjoyer. Bhoktaram yagni tapasam. He is the only person who is the enjoyer. So I am trying to control, but look where I am landing. I am ultimately controlled by the modes of nature. And nobody can transcend the modes of nature unless he dovetail his desires and consciousness onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Hesha Gunamai, Mammaya Duratya. It's my energy. No one can cross it. No one. So, if we think that we are the controllers, then we just can think about it. But in actuality, we are not the controllers. Because due to karma and gunas, we are just revolving around. And given the chance, we are not taking it. So we are thinking that our life is set. But that's not the truth. our life will be set if we follow the process and dovetail our consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Rishikesha, the Krishna who is the controller of senses, who is actually the controller of senses. So there is a Prakriti, 24 material elements. There is a Purusha, the enjoyer, or thinks that he is an enjoyer. And there is a super soul who is the controller of this Prakriti and the Purusha. I am reminding of one question which was asked by Uddhavji from Sri Krishna in 11th chapter in Uddhav Gita. He is asking, how come the soul who is spiritual, and Krishna also said that soul or the spirit soul is superior energy. It is superior energy. It's a Parashakti. It's a part of superior energy. And the matter, Prakriti, is inferior energy. So how come this conscious spirit soul comes under the illusion or under the matter? I mean, start thinking, the spirit soul start thinking that I am this person. I am in Mataji's body or Prabhuji's body, and I'm working in this field, or I am doing this. How come it happens? Because it's a spirit soul. So the answer to that, Krishna gives that the spirit soul's consciousness is very, very minute, and it covered with the matter. Why? Because the false ego is the originator. Although the answers which we know has been given to us that we want to lord over the nature, and because of that, false ego covers us, and false ego covers us, and all these elements generate, and then we fall into this body and we start thinking and we relate ourselves to the body. And because of this thing, we our journey keeps going on since time immemorial, eternal. We are eternally conditioned soul. That's why the name has been given, eternally conditioned soul. It's like a concept of an autopilot. So I was, autopilot. In autopilot, what happened? When the plane takes off, the pilot, he just set up some arrangements, done some settings, and then plane just goes on. And if the pilot sleeps, then the plane goes on. So similarly, what Lord has done with this three modes of material nature, which is autopilot, they are set, and then Lord is there with his energies. He's not taking part or intervening, and all the jivas, they have been controlled, and with the help of all the action, reaction, karma principle and gunas, we are revolving around in this species of life. So that's the reason why Narad Muni is asking Brahma about the creation, so that we know. Although sometimes we say we are devotees, we don't have to be aware of the knowledge. We are not Gyanis. Although Gyanis take this Sankhya philosophy, how Prakriti is different from the spirit soul, how it works, the Prakriti. But again, this material nature is working with the energies of the Lord, as I explained before also. And we discuss almost in every chapter that these are the energies of the Lord. So, but we should know the knowledge which will take us to Krishna. And that's why in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, although those who never read Srimad Bhagavad Gita or don't have an interest for this, I'm sorry, Srimad Bhagavatam, they think that it's a granth, it's only for devotees, and the devotees, they just believe on the stories. But the knowledge is there which will take us to Krishna. The bhakti, the process is here which will take us to Krishna. And we can see that all the devotees, Renounced devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj, Jad Bharat, Rantidev, Amrish Maharaj, Maharaj Prachina Bhari, so many devotees which are there, so many, Prithu Maharaj, so many devotees, although they are incarnations too, like Prithu Maharaj is an incarnation, Rishabh Dev is an incarnation, but there's so many, all these devotees or all these incarnations, they knew, they have the knowledge. They are not just speaking out of their sentiments. Prahlad Maharaj, a biggest devotee of the Lord, he knows about all the knowledge, how this creation happened, how everything happened. Narad Muni gave the information about everything to his mother. But his mother forgot with the passage of time, but Prahlad Maharaj remembered everything. So he knows. Amrish Maharaj, he knew. Jad Bharat, if you hear the conversation of between Jad Bharat and Raghugan Maharaj, then we will be very surprised that how much knowledge and information all these devotees have. Almost they know everything. Everything. So it's not that we are devotees and we don't have to concern about the knowledge. We should be knowing knowledge which will talk about Krishna, which talks about Krishna, knowledge about Krishna, jnana about Krishna. Karma, we also work. That doesn't mean that devotees don't work. We work, but we work for Krishna. Karma for Krishna. And that makes the bhakti yoga, the devotional, the path of devotion. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that knowledge without bhakti is shram eva kevalam, right? And bhakti without knowledge is just speculation. Because, you know, when we start doing bhakti, when we understand, okay, Krishna is everything to us. Krishna is everything to us. But we don't know how Krishna is related to us. Why? Because we don't want to take knowledge about it. Now, this Sankhya philosophy, which is the subject matter of jnanis and yogis, why we are discussing? Why we want to know? Somebody can see, let me just skip Canto 2 because it's so technical. But why we want to know the elements of material nature? Why? Because we want to know how we are different from these materials. We want to know that I am the spirit soul. But unfortunately, I am a spirit soul and I am connecting myself with this conditioned material body. I am eternally conditioned, but now it's the time for me to understand that how I am different from this body. In chapter 13, as I mentioned before, Lord Krishna explained how this spirit soul is the knower of his own body. The spirit soul only knows about this body. But because I am the super soul, I knows about the field of all activities. Or he knows, super soul, he knows about everybody. And the very good example is given, a citizen will know only the patch of land, only a small patch of land. But the king of the kingdom knows all the patches of land in that particular kingdom. So similarly, Lord Sri Krishna knows all about everybody, everything. But spirit soul, although it is a portion of the Lord, it is spiritual spark. In quality, it is very similar to the Lord. Not very similar, it is similar to the Lord. But because it comes into the combination with matter. And why it comes into combination with matter? Because of its own desire. So desire is a byproduct of a consciousness. When we are conscious being, then there are desires. We cannot stop desires. If we think that I am going to stop desiring anything, that's not going to happen. So we have to just dovetail our desires for the satisfaction of the Lord. And then at that time, the spirit soul who is right now on material platform and thinking that I am so and so, I belong to so and so, will start thinking that I belong to Krishna, and he will surrender to Krishna. He will accept all the things which are given to him by Krishna or any services by Krishna. So a devotee, it's not for me, but I am just saying for the real devotees. For the real devotees, cutting vegetable in the kitchen and preaching all around in the world is the same service, because he knows that Krishna is, I'm doing it for Krishna. And it is up to Krishna what he is going to accept or not. So sometimes we try that we engage in particular service because we think that we can do a better justice with that, but we don't get success in that particular in that particular field or in that particular service which we want to do. But rather than getting frustrated, a devotee should think that that's what Krishna wanted me to do. Maybe Krishna just want me to cook for him. But that doesn't mean that we should not try and just sit. Okay, Krishna just want me to cook. I am not going to sing. I am not going to preach. I am not going to do. No, we have to do all the things. But as it is mentioned in so many places, and also Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita that you can do your own karmas, but you are not entitled for the results of that. So the results, who is going to give? Krishna is going to give to a devotee who is surrendered completely to him. When we are on the material platform, then our karmas, gunas are just creating another body for us. But when we come on the spiritual platform by surrendering on to Krishna, then our activities, our consciousness is controlled by the internal potency of the Lord. And that I'm not saying that. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in so many purports and in lectures also, he is mentioning this. I think in this also, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that how the because of the Maya, maid servant of Krishna, because of the Maya, we start thinking and connecting with feminine energy of the Lord, goddess Durga. But in actuality, maid servant, the Maya is also controlled by the Lord. It's just like that. There is a child whose father is very, very rich, very, very rich. And that child is certainly come out and he doesn't have anything to eat, to sleep, and he does not know about his father. So if I give him, if I give that child few chapatis or prashadam, he will be happy for 1 hour, or maybe he won't even eat. But if I take that child and bring that child back to his father, he will be so happy because he get connected to the child, to the father. Similarly, our Father is very rich. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is our Father, is very rich. He is opulent. He has everything. But still, this spirit soul, not knowing the existence of our Father, just Brahmande Brahmite, Kono Bhagye, Brahmande Brahmite. We are just we are traveling. But Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas are very kind and merciful that they are trying to tell us, give us your hand, give me your hand. I am going to take you back to your father, and then you will be happy permanently. So rather than making temporary arrangements for this temporary material body, which does not belong to us, if we made the permanent solution to this permanent solution of this repeated birth and death, then we will be happy. Our soul will be happy because we will connect, we will go back to Krishna and we will serve him always. I think it's a time So I had one more story to say, but I think I will stop here. Thank you so much for all of your attention and for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Any questions, addition, comments, corrections? Please, I'm open at this time. Hare Krishna. If no one has any questions or comments, so maybe
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
My
Krishna.
beloved obeisance all to Srila Prabhupada. It's a wonderful, wonderful class and wonderful stories you told us.
Thank you.
Like lastly you said that our guru, like father, he asks our hand, he'll say, I will take you to your father.
Mhm.
That was wonderful, really.
Yeah.
That's how we are now, but realizing that it is not many people, we're not realizing.
Yeah, Mataji.
We think that I am doing, I can go, I can do. I can look for my father. Like that we say, but it's not that. Guru, we have to. It's very nice example you gave me.
Thank you.
That's very good.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much for the nice class, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And the chat was very good. I wish I will have the chat.
What you want, chart? Chat
Yeah.
or chart, Mataji? Chart.
Chat.
Chart. Okay, maybe I will ask your email ID from Mataji. From you.
You can send it to Sobara. She will.
Okay, I will send it to Shobha Radhe Mataji.
I have my email also there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Okay, so if nobody has any questions or comments, so let me just leave the class then. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhu payevacha patita pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare